Right, so this is great, guys. I've got my microbit and I've got my New Year's resolutions programmed into it, and I'm going to let the microbit decide what I'm going to do today. Clean my room. All right, I've got to go clean my room. It's going to be a while. So, happy New Year 2021. I've gone ahead and I've made a list of New Year's resolutions, and I've basically picked some routine ones that I can do over and over again. For instance, one of my resolutions is to keep my room clean. So the first on my list is to clean my room. 2, I want to get fit. So 2 is to exercise. 3, I want to keep up on my digital. So I'm going to routinely do a coding project. Number 4, yes, this one, put a reward in there. I'm gonna watch a film in there. So every once in a while, um, instead of exercising, I'm gonna watch a film. And this one's kind of fun too, reading a book. So every once in a while, read a book. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to read more books. And the 6th one, I want to eat healthy. So number 6, my resolution is to eat healthy snacks. So here I'm going to eat a healthy snack. And I wanted to just say very quickly, your New Year's resolutions might differ. So your numbers 1 through 6 might be quite different than mine. Just want to go over the equipment needed to do this project. You need a laptop or a computer. You need a microbit. You need a USB cable that plugs into a microbit. And although not necessary, not required, it is helpful, optional, to have a battery pack that plugs into your microbit. That way you can unplug the microbit from your computer and carry it with you away from the computer. So I'm bringing up the Google search bar here, and I'm going to search for the Microsoft Make Code for Microbit website. You can see that the link automatically pops up there after I do the search for it. So I've navigated to the Microbit website. The exact address of the Make Code Microbit website is makecode.microbit.org. On the Microsoft Make Code for Microbit website, I'm going to click on the New Project button, left click there, and it's going to create a project pop-up, and it's going to ask me for a project name. Here I'm typing in the name of my project. I've chosen the name Activity Picker because I'm going to ask the microbit to help me choose which activity to do. And then I just hit Create, left click on the Create button, and it creates a new project for me. It gives me a couple of starting blocks. I'm just going to right click and delete the blocks because I'm going to go into the input area and select my own starting block, which is on the button A pressed. And then I'm going to go into variables and I'm going to create a new variable. So make a variable. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to give my new variable a name. Basically, I'm going to call it random number. And then I'm going to click the green OK tick, and it's created a variable called random number. I'm going to drag in the set random number block into my on button A pressed block so that it sits within. And then I'm going to go into my maths area, and I'm going to choose the pick a random number. So I want to set my random number to a number between 1 and 6 because I have 6 activities on my list. So I want this to reflect all 6 activities in my activities list. So when the A button is pressed, I want the microbit to set the random number to some number between 1 and 6. It's important to note here that the random number will not only be between 1 and 6, it could also include the numbers 1 and 6. So it could pick a random number of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. And now I'm going to go into the logic area of blocks. And I'm going to choose a number of if then else statements. And I'm going to nest them inside each other, and I'll show you what I mean. So once I pick my first logic statement, if then else, I then go into my variables area and pick the random number variable. And then I go back into my logic area and I pull the this is equal to, less than or equal to this other thing. So it's a comparison block in the logic area, comparing one thing to another. And I'm just going to slide that into my if-then statement. So if the random number is equal to or less than 1, then I'm going to go into my basic area and I'm going to have it show a string. So this is what the microbit is going to show in its LED light display if the random number is equal to or less than 1. And number 1 on my list is clean my room. So that's what I want the statement to say if the random number generator picks a number less than or equal to 1. So the string is going to say, clean my room. So if the random number generator picks the number 1, the LED lights will display, clean my room. Else, and then I'm going to do, in the else statement, I'm going to do another if then else statement within that else statement. So first of all, it goes through and it decides, is the number less than or equal to 1? If it is, then great, clean my room. If it's not, it goes on to the next part of the if then else statement. So now it's going to look and see, is the random number less than or equal to 2? Now it's already checked if it's less than or equal to 1. So here it's just going to check to see if it's 2. And then it's going to show a string if the number is 2. So what happens? What's the second activity? Exercise. So that's what I want my string to show if the random number generated is equal to 2. So in here I'm going to type in exercise because I want that to be the activity that displays on the LED lights if the random number generated is 2. And then I just keep building my if-then-else statements, my nested if-then-else statements. So each time it checks to see, okay, is it 1? No, it's not 1. Is it 2? No, it's not 2. Okay, so going on, is it 3? Is the random number generated in the first part of this 3? So it checks to see if that random number that was generated is equal to 3. And then if it is 3, then it's going to show a string on the LED lights. And what does it show if it generates a 3? Let's see. Do a coding project. So that's what we want the string to say if the random number generator produces a 3. And so on and so forth. And I think you've got the idea here. So we'll just keep going down the list. We have to do all 6 of these, however, so we'll keep going. And remember now, these don't have to be your 6 activities. You can pick 6 different activities, and you can pick more or less activities. If you want to pick 8 activities, if you want to pick 4 activities, just remember that you'd need to change the random number picker. So if you only had 4, you would need to change it to between 1 and 4 numbers, and then you need to have enough nestings to select, to explain what happens if it chooses 1, if it chooses 2, if it chooses 3, if it chooses 4. Just remember that based on your number of activities, you have to change the numbers in the statements. Okay, so here we are on the 5th one. So this is if the random number that comes up is a 5. Does anyone remember what number 5 was? What was that? What was the number 5 activity? Let's just check and see. Oh, it was read a book. Now I'm to the last if then else. So it's check numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now at this point, because it's check numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I don't need to do another if then else statement. It's checked 1 through 5. The only number remaining here at this point has to be a 6 because it's picking numbers between 1 and 6, including 1 and 6. So it's I don't need to put another if then else. I'm at the end. So if it's not 1 and it's not 2 and it's not 3 and it's not 4 and it's not 5, it must be 6. So the else statement basically says eat a healthy snack if it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 that the random number generator comes back with. So when the A button is pressed, set the random number to a number somewhere between 1 and 6, could be 1 or 6. If the random number is 1, then tell me to clean my room. If the random number is 2, then tell me to exercise. If the random number is 3, tell me to do a coding project. If the random number is 4, tell me to watch a film. If the random number is 5, tell me to read a book. And if the random number is anything else, which means basically it's bringing back a 6, then tell me to eat a healthy snack. So you'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a Microbit Simulator. That's to help you test your code to make sure that the code works. So what I'm doing on the left-hand side of the screen, before I've even hooked up my Microbit, I'm just going to check the simulator and just see if I press the A button, do random statements come up? You know, does the code work? So I'm just over here testing my code by hitting that A button on the left-hand side a number of times and just seeing what the LED lights light up. So I'm just going to test it a few times to make sure that it doesn't always come up with the same code, that sometimes the code does repeat. That's okay, because if it's truly a random number generator, sometimes it will repeat and sometimes it won't. It's actually great that they have this simulator screen bit on the left-hand side for all the people who don't have microbits at home. You can still do this activity, you can still do this project, and you can still have the simulator come up with random activities for you to do without ever going out and buying a microbit. So that's a brilliant workaround. If you don't have a microbit at home, you can still use the Microbit website here, and you can still use this simulator to see what the random activity comes up with. Okay, now so I've tested my code and I see it works on the simulator. I'm going to go ahead and get out my Microbit now, and I'm going to load the code onto my Microbit. And once again, I need to make sure that I've got a USB cable that connects to my Microbit. The USB bit goes into my laptop or computer, and the other bit goes onto the Microbit, and that's how we're going to load the code from the computer or laptop onto the Microbit. And again, it helps, not necessary, but it helps if you have one of the battery packs, and that way you can play this random number activity game away from your laptop or computer. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and take my Microbit and I'm going to plug it in using the USB connector. I'm going to plug it into my laptop. That's where the connector goes on the Microbit, but your USB port on your computer or laptop might be different than mine. So you'll have to look on your computer or laptop to see where your USB port is located. And it's connected now to my computer. And I know that it's connected because the Microbit's got the light lit up there to tell me it's connected. And now what I'm doing is I'm clicking on the download button on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, and it's downloading the code from the computer onto my desktop. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop it onto my Microbit. And there you can see it's loading the code onto my Microbit. And now once the status bar is done, I can tell that that code is now loaded onto my Microbit. And now that the code has successfully loaded onto my Microbit, I can go ahead and unplug the USB cable from the laptop. And then what I can do next is I can go ahead and take my microbit and I can take my battery pack and I can plug my microbit into the battery pack with the batteries in it. And that way I can carry my microbit with me. I don't have to have it attached to my laptop or computer. I can carry the microbit with me and then I can play the game as and when I go about the house or outside the house. So this is just me plugging in the battery pack. And there you can see, there we go. I've hit the reset button and then I've hit the A button on the front. The reset button's on the back of the microbit, and then I've hit the A button, which is that button on the left-hand side. And each time I hit that A button, it's doing the random number generator, and it's coming up with one of the text messages that I've programmed in. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that the Microbit random number generator helps you to decide what activities you're going to do today.